welcome back. I'm going to do a quick look over of the Asian films I saw, mainly action films I saw over the Christmas period and January, because I watched quite a few of them, and some of them was one or two was a rewatch, but who cares? But the stuff I haven't covered, so I'll just cover them here. So I'll start off with Twilight of the Warriors Walled In, which I saw over the holidays, and it was great. It was just so wonderful. I have to say, I enjoyed all these films I'm going to talk about in different levels. They're all enjoyable, they're all recommended. But Twilight of the Warriors is just terrific. It takes a place in a Hong Kong area where everyone's walled in. There's one section of the poor where it's just like a slum, and you can go there to survive if you want. And a lot of refugees to Hong Kong go there to hide as they try and get their passports worked out. So into this area comes this guy who's a fighter who was conned by these criminals led by Sammo Hung, and he's on the run from them because he took their money to get his money back. Lewis Koo is the guy who's in charge of the place, and he kind of protects him from Hung because they know each other, and he's the one that smooths it over and realizes the guy who's trying to get his money wasn't trying to steal Hung's drugs or anything, so he takes the drugs back and they arrange it and everything's sorted. So the guy starts to slowly get used to the environment, and eventually he was planning to make some money and leaving, but then as he actually gets used to the modern environment, he makes some friends. Bonds take place, and eventually there's like 4 characters who bond through this early section of the film. As you're getting, it's kind of episodic, you're getting different little stories here or there as this guy slowly learns to fit in with society, develop friendships, some deeper than others, but some just a sense of community with certain people. Other times they're friends and hang out with each other. Q plays a guy who mentors him, and then halfway through the film you realise that this guy actually was born in Hong Kong, doesn't realise, and he's the son of a guy who terrorised this area in the past and who was killed, and who killed important people, the loved ones of important people who will now want revenge. And there's other people who will take advantage of that wish, the civil war that's going to develop when they find out who he is. So it becomes this kind of political thing of different people manipulating other people for their own gain, and people wanting revenge, and people sacrifice themselves to save others. And it's all really well done. It's really enjoyable. Soi Cheng, who directed it, has done like Motorway and he did Killzone 2. Both of them are excellent. He did some of the Monkey King films. He's a director who, given the right material, can deliver some good stuff. And he really has enjoyed himself here. Even though the film isn't the most focused thing ever, it doesn't matter, you're enjoying the characters, you're enjoying the atmosphere. And it's like, I'm happy to watch them interact. I don't really need that strong a plot. And the plot comes in, and people start to fight, and payoffs start to slowly emerge between different grudges. It delivers in all of those areas, and it just in the finale, when your heroes decide to go against the big villains and take them down, is very satisfying. It goes over the top in a Hong Kong way, but it delivers, and it's really enjoyable. So Walled In it was a big hit when it was released. They're going to do a prequel and a sequel, and I'm happy to watch them because this one really worked. And again, you like the characters are interesting. You can follow them and say they're not the deepest characters, but you like them, and you'll be happy to follow them through the story. So it's a high recommendation. It's a good time film if you like that kind of film. Now we've got The Night Comes to Us and The Big Four, which Tika Tomoto, I'm probably mispronounced his name, he also did Shadow Strays on Netflix recently. So after I really enjoyed Shadow Stray, I thought I'd go back and rewatch Night Comes to Us, which I already knew was great, but I fancied a rewatch, so why not? And then I also watched The Big Four, which is this other film which I hadn't seen yet. Now, Night Comes Through is more like Shadow Strays, and it's basically a pared down action movie with lots and lots of action, non-stop. That you know, lots of people die in horrible ways. Lots of people get injured. There's like non-stop action. Joe Taslim is a lead, and is very influenced by the Raid. Ike Kuras is the villain. He's an interesting villain because he's not fully villainous at the start. He develops because of the pressures on him, and everybody knows what they're doing. The action's terrific. There's lots of people who turn up, get their moment, get killed, and you move on. But they've had a memorable moment in the film. When the action comes, it's brutal. After the action, the people are messed up for a while. People don't escape these action scenes without damage. It just delivers beautifully. I don't want to say much about the plot, just beyond you have to see it if you like action movies. Most people watching this video probably have seen this one. But it just delivers beautifully. The Big Four was his follow-up, and it's more of a comedy than an action movie for a while. Then slowly becomes an action movie. It's these four characters who go around saving people. They're working outside the law. They're working with this guy who gives them assignments. They're all kind of wacky and weird. They're all people who were kids, we find out. That was basically brought up by this guy. And they've got their own interrelationships and they've got their own problems. And the guy's also got a daughter that he wants to spend time with. She's joined the police and he doesn't want to lie to her, so he's going to actually leave them to go on with her. He thinks they've grown up enough that the Big Four can actually do the stuff on their own without him, so he can go and retire. Someone's got vengeance out for him for what he's done in the past. He gets killed. She thinks that one of the Big Four did it, is vowing revenge, and they just disappear. A few years later, she's basically been a maniac as a policewoman, and she's very competent and she makes everyone else look bad. So they send her on holiday. So she decides to go back to where her dad took her on holiday because she's noticed a photograph. He's wondering who these people are around the photograph. She's going to investigate it. She cannot relax. And this brings her into contact with the Big Four, who are all the characters who were created by her. They were basically trained by her father and created as fight machines. And basically, as they go through the action, you slowly pick up another one until you got the four together again. And you realise they're all kind of crazy, they're all kind of mad, they've all got their issues with each other and with society. And they're wacky, but there's lots of action scenes within it that are comedy action scenes. And it's all very enjoyable. It's overlong, it's really overlong. This director has got a thing of, he likes to fill his films with almost 2 films worth of material. But it's still enjoyable because you like the characters. They're all fun. They're all complete lunatics. So you go through the scrappy action scenes, hoping for the next one to come soon. But also in the dialogue scenes, it's very basic dialogue stuff. There's nothing unique here in interactions. But the actors all sell. The actors are all enthusiastic, and you like the characters you enjoy being with. Something like Twilight the Warriors, where you enjoy being with the characters, no matter how crazy they are, because they're fun characters, and that takes the weight off the plot a lot. It's like, yeah, I'm fun with the characters, the action's good. The dialogue could have a bit of a polish, but it doesn't matter so much because it works. And when you get to the finale delivers. The finale really works, so it's just wonderful. It's just a terrific film. Highly recommended. Go watch it. But go in with expectations of it's not the most amazing film, it's just a really enjoyable film. It's not as good as Night Comes For Us or Shadow Strays, but it delivers. Now we go to True Legend, which is the weakest of these films, but it has some amazing action scenes. Now, from the action coordinator and director of, he directed Drunken Master. He did the fight stuff in the Matrix films and Kill Bill. His name has suddenly escaped my mind, even though most times I know it quite easily. And now I'm doing a video and I can't remember his name. Suddenly it's just gone blank. I didn't even get anything up because I thought, no way I'm going to forget that. And of course I have. But this one, he's given a script that was not worthy of him, but he tries his damnedest to make it work. Basically, it's about this guy who's will develop the Drunken Master style. It's the origin story of the Drunken Master and the style, and it's about him starting off as a guy in the army, leading men who is basically an inspiration to everyone. He start off, I'm going to save the prince from these ruffians in this weird underground temple, and it's a great big fight scene at the start to show off that this film knows what it's doing with the fight scenes. And then we basically go to the thing of 5 years later, he leaves the army, recommends his like, it's not his blood brother, but he's brought up with him, so he's treated him as a brother, a younger brother, who's jealous of him, leaves him to be the governor of someplace, which is a position he should have got in the first place, but he didn't want it. He wanted to go back home and get a family. So he goes back home, has a son with his wife, who's the sister of the jealous brother character, who was adopted. Best not go into that too much. Because his father killed their father and then took them in to make sure they didn't become like their father. The sister realised it was a good move and the brother doesn't. The brother comes back years later, now he's governor, with vengeance in mind, up to lots of supernatural stuff, and he's going for revenge. He kills the father, takes his head, and then tries to kill our hero, injures him terribly, and his wife saves him, but the son is now with the villain, and our hero has to get through his self-loathing and his failure and slowly build himself back up to do the big fight. Now the problem with the film is the big fight comes 2/3 of the way through. So you're building something and then the film's still got another third of the film to go. That's a problem. Also, your hero goes mad. He starts to see gods teaching him how to fight, and it's all in his head. Or is it? Or are the gods teaching him but no one else can see them? Who knows? But it's not done very well. It's bad CGI. It's enjoyable because of direction, but it's not written very well. And the whole film is just full of scenes that are connected, but not very well. And the whole film just is fragmented and just like, there's no momentum. Once the guy steals the son and nothing much happens, the film just meanders through lots of scenes. It only ever picks up when you get to the action scenes. All the character scenes are done by actors trying their best to make it work and have shown some charm, but they're not well written. But then you're thinking, oh god, and then suddenly the action scene happens, you're thinking, oh, this is amazing. So every time an action happens, you instantly forgive the film for all its flaws. And anytime there's a non-action scene, you think, what the hell am I watching? Because it is a terrible script they're making, but the action delivers so well. So after destroying the brother character, he loses his wife, he has to bring up his son, and he's a drunk. And he has to slowly bring himself back together. The problem with this is it feels like a sequel. But they need to have an ending which is inspirational. They can't have an ending where he loses his wife. You know. So that has to happen 2/3 of the way through. But unfortunately, because they're so enthusiastic with the action scenes, the actual action scene to kill the brother, defeat the brother, is shot like an ending of a film. And in the context of the film, you're quite happy for that because it's so good. But drama-wise, it kind of shakes up the narrative in a bad way. But because the narrative is so clunky in the first place, it doesn't really matter. So the full film is just weird. It's like the world's worst script with a really good director and a really committed cast trying their best with a script that needed a polish at best. But it's still so entertaining. The big final fight scene when he's taking on all these fighters in this big like event fight is great because he's using the drunken master routine. They can't figure out how to hit him. There's some wonderful stuff he's facing off with these massive brutes, and it just works really well. But narrative wise, it's like you see him going from loving his son to hating his son to getting rid of his son to then changing his mind 2 seconds later. There's lots of stuff there that could be dramatic, but if they were written properly, but there's not. There's just self-loathing, but drunkenness, and all that stuff happens. It's like, we're going to cover everything that happens, we're not going to explain why half it happens. It's just kind of things happen. And it's not good enough as a script. But damn, the action is good. So True Legend bombed. I can see why it bombed, because I'm sure the reviews were not kind, because it is a mess. But it's worth it for the action scenes. Now we're going to Dragons Forever, which is a Jackie Chan film from late 80s, I think. I mean, all the 80s Jackie Chan films all feel kind of similar to me in a sense of I know they were in the 80s. I'm sure I've seen some of them, but I couldn't place them. I'm sure that any experts watching this would be like, oh, that's so embarrassing. But, you know, so this is the... Chan made some films with Sammo Hung and another guy who were like the 3 dragons or whatever, where they all trained at the Beijing Opera or something like that, and they were trained as entertainers and all in this troupe. So when they came back to make films, they made films together a lot of the time. When Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung were both bigger stars who could make films on their own. So this was the last of their films together, and it was what they didn't do as well as some of the other films, so that was the end of it basically, which is a shame because it's a really enjoyable film, but it is kind of one of those ones where it's episodic. The way Jackie Chan films can be. The problem with Jackie Chan films in the 80s is that some films work better than others because Chan was more interested in the jokes and the action scenes than the plot. And sometimes the plot could meander on a little bit, and because there wasn't that much care made to the plots, as long as it was there to skip from one set piece to the other, either comedy set piece or an action set piece. And sometimes you'd be a bit threadbare. In this film, some of the A to B stuff is threadbare. Jackie Chan plays a lawyer, and the other 2 are various people who are in his orbit, who are all around this case he's working, but he's coming on like a sexual predator to this woman he's trying to date, and she's not interested in him at the start. The sexual politics in this film are appalling. He's got Sammo Hung doing stuff to try and find information, and no one knows what anyone else is doing, so there's lots of miscommunication. Eventually they all get together to fight up this drug dealer who's an awful person, and you get some great fights in the drug den at the end, and it all works out. You know, it's one of those films that the flaws are there, obviously there, but it don't really matter so much because it's still enjoyable. I think Chan did better when Hung was round him in the 80s, for me at least, because he had to tone it down slightly. Jackie Chan on his own sometimes could feel like a bit much, like he was basically making up for everyone else in the cast by being as big as possible. And sometimes you have someone like Sammo Hung, who's also could be big, means Chan could tone it down slightly so he'd be a lot more bearable for me. Because sometimes he's a bit much for me in the 80s. So I always liked him more with Sammo Hung. I think his energy worked better. They even each other out a little bit more. Even though they're big performers and they were basically hamming it up half the time. But they had good effect on each other. And that's what works here, is the actors know each other, they can do these silly things, and then when you get to the fight scenes, they can go for it. And it just works. It just really works very well. Very enjoyable. But it's not. I don't think it's a film you should first show as a Jackie Chan movie to somebody. I think you should show some other movies first, because this one, he does play a bit of a dick for the early parts of the film. Now we're going to Project A 1 and 2, which I got in the kind of the kind of 1 and 2 box set a few years ago, just in Blu-ray. I know there's a 4K, but never bothered. I'd say basically part 1 is my favourite Jackie Chan of this period, and part 2 is just a kind of typical Jackie Chan movie. So part 1 is basically he's trying to, these pirates are coming, attacking these ships. He's part of the Navy, and they're trying to take the money off the Navy and give it to the police. And Chan has to work out how to defeat the pirates while dealing with the police and all of their machinations. He's dealing with one of the three dragons, is the guy in charge of the police, and he has to learn how to work with this guy who's spoiled rotten. And Sammo Hung plays a crook who who's will lie to anybody, and Chan's try to use to get information on these pirates. And it all sounds convoluted because it is, but it all works because you're based the rhythm of what's going on with the plot and the rhythm of what's going on with the action scenes all work together really well. There's a sense of the plot mechanics will move forward to make you get to the next action scene, the next comedy scene. The comedy scenes are not overdone, they're clever, they're clear, and they're all mixed into the action, so you feel like most of the time there's forward momentum always going on in the films. So this one just works like clockwork. It just, even though the plot's silly, things have always happened that are interesting. They always keep you going. The action scenes are always interesting, always inventive. The fact you've got Sammo Hung as a guy who's manipulating everything for his own sake, just for profit, and Chan knows he can't quite trust him, but he knows he needs him. It gives it a dynamic that works, allows the plot to pivot when they need to pivot it, and then eventually you get to the point where they have to go and defeat the pirates, and that just works as well. Just the big finale, and save all these people who have been kidnapped, who all look like they're from the 80s with the 80s hairdos. There's one with the Princess Di haircut, and it's like, I don't think that's historically accurate. But it just works perfectly. It just delivers exactly what you want from a Jackie Chan movie. I just adore Project A. It just delivers. Project A Part 2 was made a few years later. The three dragons are no longer in, it's just Jackie Chan. And it's back to the mechanical plotting, where this time it's just like they've got sections of plot they have to go through, and they've got action scenes, but there's no smoothness, really. The villains, you know who the villain is? He's a dirty cop. He's got dealings with these people who are dealing with revolutions in China, and there's all this plotting going on, but none of it's really that engaging. It's just like some of the characters are fun. You've got some farcical set pieces going on. You've got like moments of Chan being arrested at times and try to use handcuffs as part of the problem in dealing with fight scenes. Lots of inventive things, but the plot's just kind of there. That it just has to be. It's really obvious, really mechanical, and the likeness of foot that they had in the first one just isn't there. It just feels like you're struggling through the plot to get to the good stuff in a way I don't think we really had in part 1. But it's still an enjoyable film, but there's much less to say about it because it just doesn't quite work. And even the action scenes are less memorable. They seem to be less inventive. At least they seem to be. I think because he didn't have the other two dragons with him, where he would be bouncing off them and doing inventive stuff with them and finding ways around to use them. This one is just himself, and he seems less interested and less engaged. So yeah, it's okay, but it's not really. I'd watch part 1 a lot more than part 2. Yeah. Frankly, we're going to the good, the bad, the weird. Now, from the director of Bittersweet Life and The Last Stand. I'm terrible with names at the moment. Names have just dropped from my head. So I'm just quoting the films. This is kind of one of his films that are good but not great. in a sense of stylistically it's great. There's a lot of fun. It's a good, bad, and ugly, but done in China. There's lots of horses. There's train heist early on, which is great. The weird guy is getting chased throughout, and it turns out he's got some more secrets than you'd guess. There's the goods is the least interesting of the three, but still enjoyable. The bad is the lead from Bittersweet Life, and he's having lots of fun playing the bad and just being an evil bastard. The action scenes are all terrific. The first half is really confident. The second half, there's a bit more mechanical plotting that gets in the way a little bit. But then the action scenes all kick in, they all deliver as well, and the character stuff kicks in and all delivers. Just I think the mechanics of some of the getting A to B is a little bit stiff at times. But it doesn't matter because it's still a blast. It's still such an enjoyable film. It's over the top as hell. The soundtrack is going like crazy through a lot of the scenes. And it's just so enjoyable. I mean, it's one of those ones that's like, you don't want to see that much about what actually happens in it, because it's like, just go see the film. It's really enjoyable. It's a homage to spaghetti westerns, but it's also its own thing. It's like, it's taking that world and then doing like over the top, you know, Asian things with the characters of fighting and how they react to certain things and how they can be over the top, but over the top in a very different way. And they can be duplicitous in a very different way from the Italians and the spaghetti westerns. It's just slightly different cultural things, even though they're doing the same characters, but it's slightly different. And they've got different historical context to place the stories in, which is just basically Chinese past as well. And there's just lots of interesting things going on. And you've a lot of basically the after effects of a war that left a lot of people displaced from Korea, and it's like there's just lots of stuff there that really works. It's just that certain plotting things are not working so well, but there's a lot there that really delivers. So I really enjoyed it, but again, I don't want to say that much beyond go watch it. It's really enjoyable. I was about to release a 4K version. I saw the 1080p version. That looks great, so looking forward to seeing how good the 4K is. Anyway, that's me. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though I could not remember any names of any directors. I just blanked completely. Now, these are all directors whose names I know generally. I just completely blanked on them. I've done... It's just one of those things. So, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you go and see some of these films if you haven't seen them. Bye for now.